Call the meeting to order. It is 6:31, so it's a good time. If I can have everyone stand up and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And to start tonight's proceedings, I'd like to introduce our Superintendent, Steve Fong.
Thank you for joining us here tonight. First of all, the budget presentations, all the budget presentations that we have done are online. Thank you very much to Sherry and Maureen from BCTV. Board minutes are also posted at msad60.org, so please feel free to check those out if you're thinking about what are some of the details behind you getting an overview. Reminder is that the budget validation referendum is on June 12th in Berwick Town Hall from 8 to 8 in North Berwick. Yeah, Berwick Town Hall though is 8 to 8, I might have said North Berwick. And Lebanon Elementary is 6 a.m. to 8, and then North Berwick is at North Berwick Elementary School from 8 to 8. We have some runners here tonight with microphones. If you'd like to speak, please make sure you raise your hand, and the moderator that's nominated will call on you. And we have Jacob Hamill, Gregory Marzoli, and Lucas Beck. I thought, they will have. All right, so thank you to the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee, made up of Stan Cowan, Travis Dwyron, and Joanne Potter, Audra Bove and Tyler Windsor, Kevin Moore and Ron Delisle, Sue Austin, and Denise Van Campen. Thank you to the board for their dedication and their hard work throughout this budget process. Thank you to the administrative team for their crucial assistance in assembling the difficult work and responsible budget that was draft one. And also thank you to the business manager, Denise Van Campen, and assistant superintendent of schools, Sue Austin, for their long hours and assistance with hard decisions during the budget draft work. At this time, I'm going to begin with Article 1A to elect a moderator to preside at the meeting. Are there any nominations from the floor?
Nominate Jeffrey Day.
Second.
Move nomination cease.
Second.
So the nominations for moderator are closed. All those in favor, this will be a show of hands, since there is one candidate. All those in favor of Jeffrey Day as moderator, please raise your hand. Thank you much. Mr. Day, would you join me?
I'm good.
Great. Bit of water to keep you going. And we're going to do some joint reading here. You don't need glasses?
Not yet.
Give it a couple of years, anytime. Okay, so,
I cheated.
oh, you know what that means. Do you, Jeffrey Day, swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Maine?
I, Jeffrey Day, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Maine,
So long as you shall continue to be a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities
so long as I shall continue to be a citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities
the duties incumbent on you as moderator of the Maine School Administrative District Number 60 budget meeting.
to the best of my abilities, the duties incumbent on me as the moderator of the Maine School Administrative District Number 60 budget meeting
On May 21st, 2018, according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
on May 21st, 2018, according to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Maine. I do.
You do. Okay, thank you, sir. Could you please sign right here? I think it says you're taking me to my daughter's college scholarship payment, college payments, but
It also says Blue Watch.
You said you didn't need glasses, so I'll take you at your word.
Absolutely. Good evening. So again, my name is Jeff Day. I will be using, just as a reference, the Maine Moderator's Manual, version 2005 edition, with a couple of modifications. As a non-resident, superintendent will be allowed to speak and will be asked to address any questions, and as a non-resident, the assistant superintendent will be allowed to speak. Ms. Conley, anyone else that you want to speak?
Potentially the business manager, but she's a resident.
Okay. Some just general guidelines on participation. Questions should be directed to me as the moderator. Questions should be related to the article that we're currently discussing. We have microphone runners, as Mr. Conley has mentioned, so please wait for them before you begin speaking. And in order to ensure everyone has an opportunity to ask questions, I'd ask that you do not repeat questions that have been asked. Allow others to have an opportunity to speak. I'll allow 2 questions from an individual, and we'll then need to ensure everyone else has an opportunity. And I'd also ask that you not interrupt those who are speaking. There will also be no amendments to the amendment. If you feel there has been adequate discussion and answers provided, you may move the question. Residents will have received voter cards. Please use them when voting. And also note that Article 14 will be a written ballot. If we keep these general guidelines in mind, I'm sure we'll have a productive evening. Any concerns as to what I've just said? All right, thank you. Mr. Conley, would you like to review the budget?
The total 2018-19 projected budget is $41,390,414. If you refer to the last page in your annual report, you'll see that pie chart. It notes that the state essential programs and services total amount is $20,453,340, or 49% of the budget. And the local contribution is $19,120,648, or slightly more than 46% of the budget. The net to taxpayers in this budget, total increase is 5.63%, which is due to a number of significant cost factors that we're seeing driving up our budget. First of all, in special education, in new employment alone projected for 18-19, we have a $583,000 increase. We have 40, just as an example, we have 40 cases of child development services students coming in, which last year the number was 18, this year 22, next year is 40. And out of that group, we believe there's 11 to 12 that will need our highest programming services in special education. And the state regulation is 11 to 1, so we know at a bare minimum before the year starts that we'll be increasing that program as well as some of our other programs. The mill rate, which is the amount that's set in Augusta for every $1,000 in property valuation, it has moved from $8.19 this year in 17-18 to $8.51 in 18-19. That is a $545,000 increase. Career and technical education. Our early childhood program moved back to Sanford High School this year, and the culinary will be moving back at some point, either this summer or potentially the end of the first semester. Depends on the construction at the new Sanford High School. That change should not have cost us any dollars. We should have seen a $216,000 look-back payment from the state of Maine for for this year and an extra $86,000 in 1920. However, brand new change in legislation says that money goes, they're paying the career and technical costs up front now, so we will not see those monies that were promised since 1998. System administration, there is a ballot to join a regional service center. That will mean that joining the regional service center will drop our loss in system admin to $50,000 versus probably $131,000. So those losses together, just in those four categories, amount to nearly $1.4 million. And then there's such a thing as fixed costs and contracts. System administration, I've had questions from people saying, just exactly what is that? There are 8.6 positions, that's slightly over $1 million, at $1,054,833. Superintendent, assistant superintendent, business manager, payroll manager, human resource, payroll clerks, bookkeeping, and administrative assistant. School administration is the people that are, they're the cost of the people who run the schools. So that would be principals and clerical and assistant principals. There are 25.5 of those total positions for $2,107,178. There are separate articles that you'll be listening to tonight from Moderator Day. Adult education is consistently a separate article. The local share increase is $251,246. The food service has not been a separate article before. However, beginning this year, it is pulled out of the direction and recommendation of the state as a separate article. We'll see the district contribution. This current year is $141,000. It will drop to $126,000 because we're applying $15,000 from the fund balance to offset some of that cost. Southern Maine Regional Service Center, I mentioned joining the RSC to avoid losing funds. That's $81,000 we'll gain from the state. That is for food supplies and also custodial purchases. We are not required, but we're obliged to join an RSC, and we're joining with the Southern Maine RSC that is operated out of Kennebunk, RSU 21, and that involves potential for purchases. We're not required to purchase anything, but we're obligated to belong to a service center. So when that article comes along, I would ask you to consider supporting that because it represents, if it was not supported, it would represent a loss of $81,000 this year and probably $150,000 in 1920 moving forward. You will notice that there is no town meeting referendum located in this year's categories because that's every 3 years the voters determine if they will continue this process. We also have, we're not expecting any budget validation referendum funds to come back after the legislature closes its session. So any monies that do come back, if they exceed the amount that voters approve tonight, will go into the fund balance and be held over to the 2019-2020 school year. In this particular budget, we are using $420,700 from the current fund balance to offset the costs so that it would rise about 5.63% into approximately a 6.3%, 6.37% increase. Health insurances came in at 4%. We budgeted at 4%. They came in at 0 for the actual. And so we took the $148,000 and used it to bring that hole in the fund balance down to $420,000. So when I say whole, that means that if you use your fund balance to take care of a roof or paving, it's a one-time only project. You're not incurring any debt for a future year. If you use it for staffing, what happens the year after that creates a hole. And that's the position we find ourselves in. Owl's Nest is a portable that will be built at behind Hanson Elementary School to the side of it, and that is approximately $50,000 a year for 5 years. There is the potential that the state will offset that cost by $110,000 over that time. Future facilities needs, Lebanon Elementary School itself will need replacement in 6 to 10 years. It is not a wise investment to take the stick-built building that shifts 4 to 6 inches on its foundation yearly and to invest the dollars into that school. Huzzy, we're going to need to consider in another summer, 2019 summer, to add a classroom wing that will join 2 parts of the building on the back side to accommodate growth. North Berwick, we're going to be looking at expanding offices, conference rooms, cafeteria, globals, and library spaces. Classroom spaces are in good shape. And at the middle school, we've already done phases 1 and 2. We're looking to do phase 3, which will have to be put off for another year. Lockers and fitness rooms, asbestos abatement, main offices, guidance, SRO, band, music, chorus, the library space, maker space that we want to add to the facility. And in this building, which you might say, this school's only 17 years old, what we found is there are some areas that we've got moisture, and when we took them off in the agent, we noticed that there was no flashing and no vapor barrier underneath the sidewalk. And we've taken other sections off, and sometimes we find it and sometimes we don't. So we'll be taking sections off every year. You'll see an annual cost of about $30,000 until we get all the way around the envelope of the school. We are, Denise Van Campen has been working hard with the Maine Bond Bank timeline to see if we can, for the 1920 budget, to see if we can put some of those facility projects into a single bond. In all schools, secure entrances and apply for state and federal funds for security. Our transportation fleet has over 10 vehicles that currently qualify for replacement according to state guidelines. We're not getting any assistance this year, and we're not getting any next year. A large bus is $85,000, a small is $58,000. We have 1 large and 3 small in the budget for this year, for the 18-19 school year. One of those small budget buses, though, is to offset one that was totaled this school year. Child development services will likely move into schools in another year, possibly 2 at the most. And that means 3 and 4-year-olds on the buses, and that means integrated harnesses, seats in all buses. We currently only have it in 4 buses. And we know with our incoming special education population, we're going to be needing more small buses as well. When we come to the topic on federal funds and grants, there are a few grants that I'll give you an example of. These are beyond the $41 million. This is there's a local entitlement grant for special education of $893,000. There are the title grants that Sue Austin oversees. Title 1A for disadvantaged youth is $585,000. 2A is for professional development. It's approximately $90,000 this year. We're not sure yet what's going to happen with that. And 4A, that supports those previous 2 titles, is $57,000. And then Title 5 is rural low income at $40,000. Last thing that I would mention is that we have a Bar Foundation grant that the school has, this high school has received to assist off-track learners. Is that Jen up back there? How you doing, Jen? And this is $350,000 for the next school year. Jen is the founding member of the Multiple Pathways program. And it's a 3-year grant, total $750,000. So altogether, those grants that I've given you a flavor of come to an additional $2 million that we'll receive to assist us in running our schools and programs. And the last thing I have is that I was asked about athletics. Somebody said, wait a minute, I looked in Article 4 under equipment, and it doesn't look like you have any equipment that you're going to be ordering for athletics next year. The equipment for athletics, it depends on how it's paid. And the equipment is paid out of the activity account. So the funds for that, when you look across and you say 000 in equipment, but you look down to the line that notes the activity account, and it is $196,650. And somebody might say, well, why don't you just break that out and show us what that is? This would be a 90-page annual report if we broke everything out. So just to let you know, that would be too hard for the mail delivery service to take care of for us with all those pages. Thank you.
Okay. So at this time, we'll begin the review, discussion, and voting on each article. Article number 1, to see what the sum the district will be authorized to expend for regular instruction. School board recommends $15,610,273. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
Motion. Second.
Second.
There a second? Any discussion? Okay. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, you can raise your little card. Thank you. All right. Opposed? Motion passes. Article number 2. To see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for special education. School board recommends $7,108,481. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
Motion.
Second.
A second. Discussion. Question back here. Wait for the mic, please.
I'm just wondering, I see under the director, assistant director, MHA director, that there's a huge salary decrease. I'm wondering what's happening under the special education director.
Mr. Conley, you want to take that?
So, some of the funds for those positions have moved to local entitlement, so they're not represented in this grant. If, in this document, they're in grants. There's no change in positions.
Any other questions? Catherine?
We would see that in the local entitlement. Where can we find that? Would it be available online? Or?
The local entitlement are grants that are, there's one article that says, do you approve the expenditure of grants, but it doesn't cite what those are. So technically you wouldn't see that as far as saying, well, how do we know which positions are paid and so forth. It's all part of the same special ed cost, but we don't have a separate breakout that says that that's covered in there.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing no more, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? All right, the motion passes. Article number 3, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for career and technical education. School board recommends $125,838. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
And a second.
Second.
Discussion? All right, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 4, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for other instruction. School board recommends $1,052,681. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board recommendation.
And a second, please.
Second.
Discussion. All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 5, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for student and staff support. School board recommends $4,150,982. For your motion.
So move the school board's recommendation.
And a second, please.
Second.
Discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article 6, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for system administration. School board recommends $1,054,833. For your motion.
So move the school board recommendation.
And a second, please.
Second.
Discussion? In the back?
I see that our legal fees have gone up $10,000, which is like a 20% increase. I'm wondering if there's something you'd like to tell us.
Could you say it again, the what?
The legal fees gone up.
So each year when you have the largest association is the teacher association. So each year when you know you have a negotiation coming up, the largest association will have more cost associated with legal costs.
Any other questions? All right, I will call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article 7, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for school administration. School board recommends $2,107,178. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
And a second. Thank you, seconded. Discussion? In the back, right here.
What is the $48,000 increase in principals, assistant principals, and dean for?
So that represents two things. One is that the negotiations that has just finished up this year with that association represents a 2.75% increase. And then there is one position that here at the high school, it is a dean position that beginning July 1st will move to an assistant principal position. So that's a change of, I'm going to say $12,000 just from that one thing.
Any other questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 8, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for transportation and buses. School board recommends $3,120,283.
So move the school board recommendation.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Any discussion, please? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 9, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for facilities maintenance. School board recommends $5,290,957. For your motion.
So move the school board recommendation.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 10, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for debt service and other commitments. School board recommends $1,683,908. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board recommendation.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? All right, I will call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article number 11, to see what sum the district will be authorized to expend for all other expenditures. School board recommends $85,000. Motion, please.
So move the school board recommendation.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Over here.
What are these other expenses?
So the other expenses, if you look in the booklet on Article 11, it says TTB, which is a code name for Tri-Town Bookmobile. So the coordinator, if you look down to the bottom of that, you'll see that for this year, we had a small amount, $43.50, in the budget to get the program up and running. And for next year, the district allocation for the Tri-Town Bookmobile is $60,000. So the cost for to actually run the bus for the year, pay a person to oversee that program, and to pay for drivers and things like that is a total of $60,000. The contingency for that is $25,000, so it's $85,000 total. The Tri-Town Bookmobile.
Any other
The
questions?
contingency is what? Oh, I'm sorry, I said the contingency is actually for food service, so it's $60,000 for the Tri-Town Bookmobile.
So it's $60,000 for the Tri-County Bookmobile,
Yes.
$25,000 for contingency for food services.
Food service typically for equipment.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. All right, now we get into the long ones. Article number 12, to see what sum the district will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and to see what sum the district will raise and assess as each municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act in accordance with the Maine revised statutes, Title 20-A, Section 15688. Recommended amounts set forth below. This is the total appropriated by municipality. The town of Berwick, $15,641,006. Town of Lebanon, $11,578,317. Town of North Berwick, $7,623,641, for a total appropriate amount of $34,842,964. Total raised and district assessments by municipality. Town of Berwick, $5,707,435. Town of Lebanon, $4,493,210. Town of North Berwick, $4,288,907, for a total raised amount of $14,489,552. As a brief explanation, the district's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, is the amount of money determined by state law to be the minimum amount that the district must raise and assess in order to receive the full amount of state dollars. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. All right, seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Article Article 13, to see what sum the district will raise and appropriate for the annual payments on debt service previously approved by the district voters for non-state funded school construction projects or non-state funded portions of school construction projects, in addition to the funds appropriated as the local share of the district's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12. School board recommends $13,908. So as some line items, school board, Noble High School's auditorium expansion. The district assessment by municipality is Town of Berwick, 39.39% or $5,478. Town of Lebanon, 31.01% or $4,311. And the Town of North Berwick, 29.6% or $4,117. As an explanation, non-state funded debt service is the amount of money needed for the annual payments on the district's long-term debt for major capital school construction projects that are not approved for state subsidy. The bonding of this long-term debt was previously approved by the district voters. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board's recommendation.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Down here in the front.
I was just wondering how many years we have left on the 2 years.
2 years left.
Thank you.
How's that?
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. All right, Article 14 is going to be a written ballot. And just if, as a commentary, if this doesn't pass, then we will have some further discussions around that. So at this time, you will go to your town's table and cast your ballot. Sorry, yeah, I guess I should read this. Sorry. Thank you. So, Article number 14. To see what sum the district will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, the recommended amount is $4,617,188, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model by a recommended amount of $4,617,188 as required to fund the budget recommended by the school board. School board recommends $4,617,188, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model by $4,617,188. There are a number of reasons why this budget exceeds the state's essential programs and services funding model. Some are curriculum decisions that the Board of Directors has made and our communities have supported, such as full-time nurses and guidance counselors in each school, as well as reasonable class sizes. Fundamentally, however, the primary reason is that the EPS formula does not fully recognize all the costs necessary to maintain school programs and services. As an additional explanation, the additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the district's local contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and local amounts raised for the annual payment on non-state funded debt service that will help achieve the district budget for educational programs. Now we can vote. So, as you,
Do we have time for discussion, sir?
sorry?
Can we ask for discussion?
Glad somebody's kicking me on my toes. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a motion and then,
Oh, Dale, where are you?
All right, so We need a motion.
So move the article as
Thank
read.
you. A second, thank you. And now discussion. All right, seeing no discussion, how about we, third time's a charm. to announce the results. It was 72 in favor, 3 against, so Article 15 passes. 14. That's what I said. I said 14. Okay. Hopefully we'll move on without any issues. Article number 15 summarizes the proposed school budget. To see what sum the district will authorize the school board to expend for the fiscal year beginning in July 1st, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2019 from the district's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20-A, Section 15690, unexpected balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. School board recommends $41,390,414. Do I hear a motion?
So move the school board recommendation.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Article passes. All right. Article 16 raises and appropriates funds for the school nutrition program. To see if the district will raise and appropriate $126,000 for the school nutrition program with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the school nutrition program. Do I hear a motion?
So move the article.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Down in the front.
I was just curious to know whether that is, does that cover the salaries of the food service people?
So the entire budget's around $1.5 million. So the 126 covers a portion of that in order to make the program break even.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Motion passes. Article 16 passes. Article 17 authorizes the adult education program and raises the local share. To see if the district will appropriate $414,938 for adult education and raise $251,246 as the local share, with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the adult education program. Do I hear a motion?
So move the article.
Second.
And seconded, thank you. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? Article passes. Article 18 authorizes expenditures of grants and other receipts. In addition to amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the school board be authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. Do I hear a motion?
So move the article.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Article passes. Article 19 authorizes the formation of a regional service center. Do you favor the formation of a regional service center pursuant to an interlocal agreement for the Southern Maine Regional Service Center as approved by the governing bodies of the parties thereto and the Commissioner of the Department of Education? Do I hear a motion?
So move the article.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Question over here, please.
Can you just kind of explain what this is?
Yes, so part of the, well, I'm going to use the word regionalization. So part of the governor's plan on reducing the total number of districts would be to establish 10 to 12 regional centers from across the state. And that would include the system administration functions, superintendent, assistant, business manager, payroll, human resources, bookkeeping. So in doing that, there have been, I think, 13 approvals at the DOE level. We are already part of a food co-op that we've been, as a matter of fact, our food service director is the director of the co-op out of RSU 21. And so we began with that premise of, can we expand on that and look for other things? So the second thing that we were looking at was, can we save money in custodial supplies? So that's part two, and we submitted a request to the commissioner for those particular services right now. We'll look down the road to see if there are other things we can do to help streamline and save some costs in a larger buying power group. So it offsets some of the loss that we saw in system admin because in the ED 279 it gives us back 81,000, I think it is, in cost towards that the loss, but we're still losing approximately 50,000. Just it minimizes the loss.
Is there a school board recommendation for this?
Yes, so the school board, as part of the process in this, there was, we're into step 3 today. Step 1 was preliminary approval by the board, which was non-binding. Step 2, until the public vote, was binding for the board to say you've agreed that you're going to join this co-op. Now, the school system can opt to join a different co-op for a different service. So we can say, we're with this co-op for these two things, and we're looking over here at, let's pick a topic, curriculum coordination, and so we could join another piece. Or in our existing co-op, we could say, we'll continue with the food service because it is saving us money, but we don't see a price break with the chemicals that were chosen by the RSC, so we'll stay with our own chemical. And it doesn't cost us any money to vote with or vote against using some of the services, so long as we belong and are members of an RSC.
Any other questions? Down in front.
I'm sorry if I'm making you repeat yourself, but what is a regional service center then?
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. The idea was that it would form these large regions across the state to eventually take the place of all system administrative functions in districts and center those to 8 to 12 locations. It doesn't really take into account the geographic, we're a 135 square mile district. I have a friend in Calais who's got a 500 square mile district. It really doesn't take those kinds of things into account. But what it does allow us to do is look at other regions and say, electronically, we could vote to use the same service that they're using in Calais. So we can see if we can do cost savings through that regionalization piece.
Anyone else? Back there.
Yes, what are the funds or fees associated with joining these
So, most immediately, there is a provision of $81,000 that the district will get back. So if we weren't participating in an RSC, we would have seen a loss of $81,000 on top of the 50, so $131,000. Next year, we would have seen an additional loss of probably another $65,000. So, because it's forcing that regionalization. So what we have, the State Department is recognizing some of the fees that these RSCs are going to incur, such as in our agreement work, we're working with legal counsel. There are 27 districts that belong to the food service co-op, and there are 8 that have already agreed to the chemicals. And the state has now upped the amount of money that it will give for legal costs to, I think it's $20,000 per regional service center. So for this startup year, what it does is it minimizes the loss that we would have seen in system administration, and the state is looking into what the other associated costs would be to help contribute to those.
In the back.
How bound to the RSC are we going to be in the future if we become part of it? Right now, it sounds like food and custodial.
Yep.
Is it going to, in the future, we're bound by other means as well?
So the initial, as far as the bound part goes, it was initially kind of a black hole that the only way you could get out of it was if you could guarantee the rest of the contributing members that their costs would not go up when you pulled out, which was highly unlikely to be able to occur. So they backed off on that piece of legislation. So right now there is an option to say, the way I look at it is, if you join, you don't lose as much money, and you're not required to agree to the services. How's that? That's an amazing piece of legislation in my book. So I'm for the let's lose less, and right now it's saying that it doesn't have a no escape clause to it, and we'll keep an eye on that as we move forward. It's a 2-year agreement. Thanks.
Any other questions? In the back.
So in 2 years, we can vote on this again? Is that correct?
I'm going to be really curious to see where we are in 2 years. I think some of it depends on what happens in November in Augusta. So if not, I would say that there's a potential that in 2 years we'll see this again. You don't have to be sorry.
I just want to make sure I understand. So the regional service center is just covering custodial and administration? It's not covering other areas?
It's covering 2 pieces right now. It could have been written, once the opportunity was put out to school districts to create their own regional service centers. And we like the State Department saying, here's money that will fund you if you join an RSC. And we want you to tell us what you would like to be a part of. So we already knew we had the food co-op going, so we said, why don't we make that the basis for our agreement? And then the second piece was, well, we could look into the chemicals. And then next year we might say, there's one other example that we talked about was, what if, due to some of the way that legislation worked out this year and last year, what if districts said we would like to belong to that RSC and have a lobbyist service in Augusta? So if you do something like that, people who want to participate in that say, yes, we'll participate. People who elect not to participate don't participate in that part. So the original intent, though, was to to follow like a Florida model that says that you've got 17 superintendents across the entire state, but it leaves out the part that there are 77 deputy superintendents and so forth doing a lot of the work. So it's to reduce system admin.
So does this have anything to do with the positions that we share with MSAD 35, like technology and curriculum?
That's an interesting question, sir. So we've shared as many as 9 positions over the past few years with 57 and with Marshwood. It doesn't actually, there is no, any districts that have existing agreements for efficiencies, there was no credit offered for those already in existence. So it was, yes, that's nice, let's look at this. So it really is a separate thing. One of the OASs down east has 11 school districts within its OAS. It wasn't provided any opportunity to say you've already regionalized and then we can't expect you to do more than that. So it's from here forward.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? And opposed? Article passes. All right, that covers the articles, correct?
Yes, it does.
All right. So would you like to
Yes, I'd like to just take a minute and ask you to join me in thanking Mr. Stan Cowan for his years of dedication on the school board, as tonight is his last meeting. And after tonight, Wendy, he's yours. So, thank you, Stan. And I'd also like you to note that he has a very nice maroon hat with him today. And I'd like to thank Mr. Day as well for his work and the town clerks tonight. Thank you all for your participation and your citizenship.
So just a couple things of you already talked about the voting. So Berwick Town Hall 8 to 8, Lebanon Elementary School 6 to 8, correct?
Yes.
And then North Berwick, the primary school from 8 to 8. All right. Larry, anything else we have to?
Mike passes. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in tonight.
Towns, you're all set? Everything? Okay, good. And yes, do we have a motion to adjourn, please? All in favor?
Great. Thank you, Matt.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much.